You're listening to the Golightly Marshall Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
Recording show number 30. So, you've just been listening to the crappings on of David Icke with Alex Jones.
Uh-huh.
And you heard them.
The ultimate question.
Yes, Alex Jones, the ultimate question to David Icke. Why are we so successful? To which David Icke replied,
How about we just play a bit of it?
Go for it. It's enough to make those who are truly awake and enlightened.
Calling himself the tip of the spear as well.
The tip of the spear, is he? He's more like a poison dart.
Not into your ego or whatever.
Total poison.
Analyze why you've been successful, myself, and a handful of other.
Yeah.
Not into your ego or whatever. We need to analyze why you've been successful, myself, and a handful of others as kind of the icons of the awakening to understand what's made us successful at waking people up. So briefly, why do you think you've been so successful? Why do you think I've been so successful when there's been so many other articulate people out there saying, some of the same things? Why has that been?
Well, I think the only way to succeed in this arena is one word: persistence. When you refuse to take no for an answer, when you refuse to even accept the possibility that you will give up, and that you know that the day you keel over and leave this reality, you'll still be doing it, and you'll still be trying, and you'll still be doing what you can, then when big challenges come up, when you get the abuse, when you get people trying to undermine you, when people attack you, when people ridicule you, because giving up is simply not an option, it means that instead of feeling sorry for yourself and walking away and sitting in a corner, or walking away and thinking, I'm not doing this anymore, you keep walking, you keep moving, you do more, you are persistent. And when you do that, you break down barriers. And key to that over the years is that what people have said is shown to have validity. I mean, when I was at the height of my ridicule, which was almost of historic proportions in this country in the 1990s, early 1990s, I was of the...
Have you heard enough? The point, that answers the question.
If what I said had any validity, then it would be shown eventually to be so.
Oh, right. So. Oh, dear. If it weren't so tragic, considering all that is happening upon the earth.
I've been around longer than Alex Jones on the internet, and David Icke. I don't know how long he's been around, but I've been around for a long time saying the same thing ever since I can get on the internet, put that way. And they're saying exactly the same thing what I'm doing, right? However, having contacted both of them on numerous occasions by people, Sherry, for example, she was a big follower
of Alex
Jones, and she bombarded him
daily.
Even to the point where she said that he must be watching what I'm saying because he's using the same phraseology. He's quoting some of the words I'm using. And the same thing goes for Pope Francis.
Yes, like describing Christians as being mentally ill. Where have you heard that? And how long ago did you first hear it? And Sherry, at one point, more than a year ago, said that Alex Jones' wife has admitted that Brian is God. But what is interesting is that the only solution, well, it's beyond it now. It really is beyond it. The world is beyond. You see, at the cross, everybody was given another chance. It could have all been over then, bar for the pregnancy of Martha, myself, at the cross, pregnant with twins, because that was the bloodline whereby the two of us could be back at this time now. Now, the only knowledge that could have saved this planet the way it is the Christ returned, as Pope Benedict, who took his life into his hands, and as you know, his closest papal staff have disappeared. One murdered, we know for sure. We suspect the other two by now, definitely, since we haven't heard anything more from Sister Maria della Rosa, whose letter I posted to the Vatican Insider just about an hour ago. So the only news that could have saved the world as we know it was the news that the Christ is upon the earth, go out among all the nations. Why? Because it's the quantum. People rejoicing, no longer subject to the Zog, Zionist-occupied governments, which are all of the Western governments, no longer subject to them, and the Christ takes over, leading the armies of the world to put an end to Fukushima and all the other areas in the world that have been decimated. He takes well, it's too late for any of that. As a matter of fact, it's too late for all of you. It's too late for Alex Jones, David Icke. They're talking about when they get through this life, they'll still be doing what it is that they're doing. Well, they have no life ahead of them. The idiots. Now, what is interesting is that Catherine, before she found Yahweh, she was being led by her angels to understand the role of Alex Jones. She'd been listening to him for some time and was chatting with an idiot called Josh Eaton. What a pig he is. Hope he's listening to this, or somebody send it to him. If you know Josh Eaton, well, get this to him, because that is one diabolical son of a bitch. However, Catherine was led by her angels to figure out the role of Alex Jones. It was to do with his advertising Catcher in the Rye, a very popular novel written in 1951, I believe it was published. And through the clues that she followed, she understood, and it was a great big wake-up to her, that Alex Jones is a gatekeeper. Now, according to Wikipedia, a gatekeeper is as follows. A gatekeeper is a person who controls access to something. For example, via a city gate. In the late 20th century, the term came into metaphorical use, referring to individuals who decide whether a given message will be distributed by a mass medium. So you've got the Jews who call themselves Jews and are not, but are of the Synagogue of Satan, who control all the mass media, sponsoring through advertising with Alex Jones, who's married to a Jew. He has decided to control the message. He'll report on every other distraction out there in the alternative media. Yet he refuses to even interview Brian, have us on as a person of interest. He's had Lyndon LaRoche, another gatekeeper, the likes of David Icke. It's like the good cop, bad cop. You have the personality of David Icke, the likeable dude, versus the screaming abuse from the idiot that Alex Jones is. What an abomination. Yet both of them have the same position. They are gatekeepers on this, the prison planet, that they are keeping you all in. All those followers who listen to Alex Jones and think he's marvellous and all the rest of it, a lot have woken up already. As a matter of fact, how many times do I have to say to you, the litmus test for anybody is, are they talking about Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, the Lord Jesus Christ, recognised and announced by Pope Benedict XVI? Now, that was just the icing on the cake. The point is that Brian has been doing his work of revealing, this is what the revelation is all about, revealing the delusion to all of the Christian nations out there who are the last people on the list that will make it. People are talking about, see you on the flip side. No, you won't. This is judgment. This is the judgment seat of the Christ who has been on the earth now for 70 years. He is the Holy Ghost. He is the Father this time. Not the young dude, the all-loving, forgiving young dude who wasn't the namby-pamby, airy-fairy bullshit image of the beast that all Christianity has been deluded into worshipping. No way, Jose. He was an arsehole then, he's an arsehole now. Just go and listen. Just go and listen or read to yourself or read out loud how he condemned the Jews then, who are the same reincarnated demons that are in control of the temple now. Well, Alex Jones is one of them, and so is David Icke, by default. Now, if David Icke doesn't know about Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, the Christ, etc., the same goes for David Duke. Oh, what a wonderful man. So well-spoken and articulate, writes so well, been a representative in the Congress and has the favour of this,
Jesse
that,
Ventura?
the other. Yes, Jesse Ventura, you know, your WWF, what's it?
World Wrestling Federation.
World Wrestling, but there's another WWF. Is that something to do with World Wildlife Foundation? Well, either one. Hey, Jesse Ventura, I hope you get sent this or hear this. You're another fuckwit. You talk the talk, but you won't walk the talk. No way, Jose. You add to your circles those that advertise the Christ being here. You've been informed. The whole world has been informed. So what does it all mean? It means that you all go the way of the enemy of all mankind, because you are mankind's enemy as well. The gatekeepers of this, the prison planet. So with all the rapture readies and all the homosexuals and Pope Francis, who is the Antichrist and the false prophet, all in one, to all of those who have had the information sent to them, who have abused and scoffed and rejected, full of yourselves. No way, Jose.
Well, wasn't it Sherry who was a very big follower of Alex Jones? And she was persistently, on a daily basis, sending information to him.
Every day. And she loved Alex Jones. She was so hoping for him to wake up and do the right thing by all mankind. And she got so excited any time she heard him repeating what Brian was saying. And we even threw out their videos addressing Alex Jones. Go on, Alex. You'll have divine protection from those that would kill you. You'll take your life and give it up. There is a scripture verse that goes something like this. Unless you take up your cross and follow him, you have no life. That's a paraphrase. And those that would seek to save their lives will lose it, but those who would give up their lives will save it. Well, it's all a done deal. It's all been sorted now, and you're all back here for the judgment. And it is not pretty. Fukushima spewing away the angel of death. Everything that's going on around the globe brought to you by the Jews who call themselves Jews and are not. You're all worshipping Lucifer anyway. You know that it's the agenda. Well, you're all doing it. There's only a few that 0.000000004% on the planet of the adult world who will be on the other side. Anything else?
Oh, sounds good. I even made up a David Icke web page.
Yes, that's right. David Icke too.
I called it David Icke, and it had all his the same things that he's got on his main web page, so you couldn't tell the difference. And I think I got 3 hits. I think, and that was you, me, and
somebody else.
Somebody else, maybe David Icke himself.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he certainly knows who I am because, as I say, we've sent lots of information, had other people send information. Now, we're saying to you people out there, all the masses listening now, the whole 18 of you, to contact Alex Jones and be relentless. And same with David Icke.
Yes, do a David Icke. Persistent, do not give up. Quote him, go and listen, write it down, cut and paste it. Do not give up. You know, the same at Francis. I've been tweeting more to Francis and at the Vatican Insider. So for all of you out there, take their word and just do it relentlessly. Look at the beautiful sunset. Look how pink the sky is. About the same colour as my shirt, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
All right, anything else we're going to talk about tonight? We could cut show 30. You know, it is our 30th show. There's something prophetic about it. You know, 30 pieces of silver.
Did you say prophetic
Betrayal?
or pathetic?
Both. Well, it rhymes. Anything that's prophetic is pathetic. Oh, shall I tell about Adam's skateboard and the Turkish taxi
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Adam's on his way back to Harvey Bay, spent 6 weeks in Sydney and worked his guts out for... anyway, he got...
50 cents an hour.
50 cents an hour. He rode in the back of a truck illegally because they was crowded in the front. But anyway, that was all part of the fun. To get back into the city. Then he had to get to Central with about 40 kilograms of luggage. He goes to a taxi stand and all he wanted to do was find out how much. The guy turned out to be a Turkish cab driver, told him, $15 to take you into Central. But I cannot take you because I have got a pickup. I'm waiting for somebody. So, go. So, thank you. Go. So Adam calls the cab company on the side of this guy's taxi. He calls the cab company. The cab company organises a cab to come and pick him up. Turns out to be this same Turkish cab driver who just said, I know. What happened is that his ride suddenly cancelled. And so he's the first cabbie there on the spot. And now he's picking up Adam and he's ticked off because it's not such a big fare, the $15 into the city, etc. So Adam comes in thinking, okay, there's something angelic going on here. So he says to the Turkish cab driver, what do you think of your current government? Oh, well, he started to go on. They do not represent Muslims. They are a Zog, which is a Zionist-occupied government, which is America, Australia, Britain. They're all Zionist-occupied governments. Canada's disgusting. Stephen Harper. Anyway, so they have this conversation and the guy is going off about and how, true Islam, and we know this ourselves, true Islam is not what is being portrayed in the press. These are the Jews, the Zogs behind the scenes who control all the media that we've just discussed, the gatekeepers feeding information into the masses so that the masses stir up against Muslims. Muslims, when they are left alone to do their own thing, are really nice people, very stupid, but nice, and they are peaceful. So this Turkish man is going on about how this is not Islam, these are disgusting, this is all the Zogs. And then he says, God is in all of us. We are a people of peace and God is in all of us. So anyway, this was the conversation that went down. So Adam goes and finds a locker for the day, texts me to say that he's there. I get it sometime later, and he's considering buying a skateboard because he loves to skate, hasn't done it for a very long time, and thought he'd spend the hours waiting for the bus skating. So I sent a text back saying that would be really stupid. I'm thinking about how, he's so close to us. The last thing we want is, since he hasn't been on a skateboard for so long, broken anything, a call from the hospital, he's injured himself. So I say that would be really stupid for those reasons. Long story short, he goes up to Oxford Street in Paddington, Sydney, where there was a skate shop that ripped him off some time ago. He goes to a new skate shop. He starts talking to the owner of the shop, and he's talking about medicinal cannabis. Of course, it's his favourite subject. He knows a lot about it. The guy was very impressed with his knowledge, and Adam was asking, looking at the boards, because he's thinking, how much are these boards, etc. He picked up a board, and the guy said, well, it's $350. He gives him the board. He says, no, you have it. I enjoyed your conversation. You gave me a lot of information. He also gave him a free T-shirt. It had a great big M on it for marijuana in the middle of it, with Sydney's first cannabis dispensary. But he says it looks like an M for Marshall on it. So he's got the free T-shirt and now the free board. So Adam laughs and says, thank you very much. Can I have some trucks and wheels to go with it? At which the guy laughed and said, no. Just giving you a $350 board. All right. We're going backwards and forwards. I ask him, what's the name on the board? And he says, Alien. Have a good laugh over that. Well, that's what it's all about. Hours later, he texts me, probably an hour and a half ago. He's waiting at the bus stop now. He's getting onto the bus right now. And he says the name on the board is Amnesia, and then capital O, capital G. Amnesia Og. And he laughs, saying, considering the conversation I had with the Turkish cab driver, which was all about Zog, amnesia, occupied governments. Well, that about describes all of these idiots, politicians, rulers, leaders. They all have amnesia. That's being kind. Alzheimer's, what is that? Old-timers, disease, dementia? No, they're just possessed. These are demons who are soon to be gone. We're looking so forward to the depopulation program. Would that be?
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah. It's called the reaping. You can read all about it in the Bible that has been perverted and corrupted. However, there are truths in there that cannot be ignored because it's playing out. It's called the reaping. Everybody reaps what they have sown. So Alex Jones and David Icke, for all of their, they think, good works.
Just to be an interesting experiment if about 20, 30 of you get in there and start sending David Icke and Alex Jones.
Challenge them.
Just challenge them to interview me. Let's just see what they say. Not only will they not answer you, they will block you.
Doesn't it feel good to be rejected? Totally.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, prophecy fulfilled.
Psalms 118:22 and Matthew 21:42.
No, this as much as Brian, the Christ, God Almighty, has been rejected as he prophesied, then you can rest assured that the reaping is as sure as his rejection.
Good point.
And it ain't going to be pretty. However...
Now, I was talking to Catherine and John, and they got a phone call from their friend over there, and said, go outside and look up. So they go outside and look up, and what do they see? Kachina.
Blue and red.
Blue and red. So it's also been sighted, the red kachina has been sighted in Antarctica, and you had that on
Yes, that was Catfish. I'll do an upload on that, just running his latest. Let's see where the conversation went.
Who was this?
With Catherine.
Ah.
Oh, yes, this is... yes, that's right. Andre just called us, 10:50 p.m. here, and he told us to look up. Can see the red Kachina in the sky to the south, slightly west. The blue and the red we can see. They weren't able to get pictures of it.
Well, we've got pictures of it, and we might get some tonight.
Yeah.
But it is in that position in regards to the Earth, so it is in the southern hemisphere and coming up as all planets or asteroids or comets do come in usually from the southern hemisphere because the sun pulls them in, and it moves northward at 69,000 kilometres or 43,200 miles per hour. And so that's what keeps the planet spinning around the sun. If that didn't happen, then the planets would be pulled into the sun. So what happens is the sun is moving away and it just spirals behind it because it's trying to be pulled into the sun. And of course can't happen because the sun is moving away. So it's a very interesting phenomena that, of course, you ask anybody about it who should know, they don't know. Well, they're not talking about it. But with the return of the Nibiru, if you like, for want of a better word, the red dwarf, with its 7 planets rather. These have got angels on board. This is what happens if you go back 3,600 years twice, you go to over 7,000 years when the Great Pyramid was built. And all these wonders around the world, they were built pre-flood. So they were done by angels. Angels can do that sort of thing, whereas the entire American and Russian armies couldn't do any of it, let alone lift up 200 tons or 1,000 tons or whatever, blocks and move them, and place them in positions on walls and so forth. And then the modern, as the flood subsided, the modern area is occupied by various peoples, and then by the time of the Romans, in Lebanon, for example, there's 3 blocks of stone there, that 2 of them are built into a wall, and at 1,000 to 1,400 tons apiece. This is gigantic, and one block there is coming out of the quarry. It's coming up on an angle of 26,1897 degrees, which is the angle of the face of the descending passage of the Great Pyramid. So it's got all these little signs about it. And it's when you take something out of a quarry, if you was to drill out the side of a cliff face and you break the thing off, well, it is possible to get the 3 sides, the top side, the bottom side, and the face side, and the ends squared off. But the bit that breaks off the mountain of rock is got to be cleaned up. However, the quarry that we're talking about here in Lebanon, it's come out of the ground. So in other words, the top edge is flat, the 2 side edges is flat, and so is the bottom edge. But how do you plane something off dead flat when it weighs over 1,000 tons and it's just been pulled out of the quarry in a perfect, pristine, finished state? Can't be done. So the 2 that's in a wall, some 2 or 3 kilometres away, not only is it precision, but they come down and then go out and then down. So they've got a larger flange on the bottom part, which is about 10 to 15 feet high. The whole block is about 40 feet high. And as I said, weighs over 1,000 tons. And yet the 2 are fitted together where you can't put a playing card in between the 2. That's how precise they are. And that's the whole idea of it, to wake up the researchers to look at these things like this is an impossibility. that man cannot do this sort of thing. They can't do it today. They couldn't do it in the past. So it's all angelic. So this is what it's all about. The angels help the people in the pre-flood to do these wondrous things.
Would it be safe to say that the friend of the Jew, as Francis is the enemy of God?
Francis? Of course he is.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. The friend of the Jew is the enemy of God.
Oh, absolutely. All Jews are enemy of God. They don't realise that I'm very vengeful and have no sympathy for this kind of behaviour. And my patience has certainly run out. And they're going to be facing an end that is going to be so dreadful that even those evil bastards, the things they do and have been doing for many, many centuries, is nothing compared to what they're going to face. Believe me. So anything more for this bracket?
Was for... Oh, I'll just read this in a minute.
Read that. What, you're leaving a comment for Francis or what?
Yes, at Vatican Insider, another one. I was just, not giving up. This one says, this is in response to what Francis has said, those who judge others are defeated. They will be judged in the same way. Others say, preach it, amen. Quoting the scriptures, the measure we use to measure others will be the same yardstick, blah, blah, blah. I said, Francis has been judged by the returned Christ, Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, as the traitor to all mankind. And so has George Ganswain, who knows that Christ is back and has sworn an oath to the Antichrist Francis to say nothing. The friend of the Jew is the enemy of God, who has no sympathy for the Jews, and his patience has run out, and they face an end that will be dreadful. Their only hope for salvation was to Francis announce the Christ.
The only thing would have saved him.
Well, I'm talking about for the Jews. His friends, the Jews that he's so buddy-buddy, their only hope for their salvation was to announce you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But he has denied them that. And Francis...
So you can't say, well, you can't blame the Jews. They didn't know. Well, they all know what the rabbis do, and there's not a Jew on earth that hasn't heard about me, because Yitzhak Kaduri announced it. And he also said that the Messiah will not be coming to Jerusalem, and that he would be talking to us from afar. And he was referring to the internet or radio communication, which is right. Why is that so? Well, it's all radiation there, isn't it? So I won't be going to Europe again. We've been there, had a look. I was disgusted with the place, and I was disgusted with Egypt. And now, what was amusing was when you're dealing with Egyptians, especially taxi drivers or someone who deals with tourists, you've got to be very careful, because they lie and they manipulate. They're trying to get their hand in your pocket, and they're your best friend, and come on back, we want to see you again. And at the same time, this particular fellow said that he was in the army with a man that stayed in the army and is now one of the generals, and he lives next door. This is when we're there in Egypt on the Nile River. Now, he said that he had given the information that we'd given him for the General Assisi. At that time, there was a bit of hostilities going on with the Muslim Brotherhood. So the message came back to me, not at this time. El-Sisi has got to wait till the government has more control and things settle down. So leave it for a couple of months. But the message was from El-Sisi. This is the president of the country that has now been elected. How many people know he's here? Right? Now, instead of the idiot just talking to me, right, Like, he doesn't have to say or announce anything. All he had to do was send his general around, it's just across the river with a bloody boat ride, to have a talk to us. And if he'd have said, well, General Assisi wants you to come see him in, say, 2 months' time, well, we would have done so. But no, that wasn't what was actually taking place. Now, the fellow that was arranging all this, I had given him a letter, a second letter, and had stuck it over with a bit of sticky tape. Because I didn't
Really
want
professional.
Very professional. I didn't want him to read it. And I said, now give that to you, because he's next door neighbour to this guy, you see. And he said, yes, no problem. And of course he's going to give it to him, and this is what was supposedly to happen. However, some days later, I see the letter with a bit of sticky tape on it that he had in his possession and hadn't handed it over to the general. So therefore, it turns out to be bullshit. But then he says to me that he has to go down, been called to see the general in Cairo, and it's got an airfare down, and he's got to be down there. And he also said he's never told a lie in his life, right? Because I said to him, right, that I think you're lying. He said, oh no, never told a lie in my life. So he comes back to us again. He wants an extra $500. We didn't pay it yet, and because we were going to arrange there for
It was
if it was anything
$250, it was
generous.
$250, and then he wanted another $250 for a total of $500.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the reason being, now this man has said he never tells a lie in his life, was that he was telling his wife to go. He was going down there on business, so he'd have to come back with some money that he had earned while he was down there. Otherwise, he wouldn't be going down there, and she would smell a rat. That he's gone down there for alternative motives, ulterior motives, and because she may suspect, although he's never told her a lie or anyone else, he's got a wife, another wife,
A second wife,
in England.
an English wife.
Right?
What happens is that the English, the Polish, the Russians all go over there to get a bit of action. These are the women. Really, it's Sodom and Gomorrah. Go over there to get a bit of action, end up with these Egyptian husbands on the sly. Well, for them it's not on the sly, but for the Egyptian husbands, the European wives are a lot of the time on the sly because their first wives wouldn't like it. Apparently in Muhammad's law that you can have 4 wives, the first wife has to agree, she has to be okay with it, or some ridiculous...
Well, apparently she wasn't agreeing to this first wife after her, and this is a man that never tells a lie in his life. So I got a bit suspicious that he was just setting us up as the usual con man taxi drivers that they are.
Yes.
So he may have spoke to his general friend, and the question that did ring true: how many people know he is here? But that was the end of that. So if Assisi was genuine, now what's the problem with Egypt? Well,
Saudi Arabia
owns it because they finance
$20 billion.
everything. They finance everything. And if you want to build something, you get the loan from the bank, which is Saudi Arabian, and
well, Saudi Arabia's been propping El-Sisi up ever since he ousted Morsi and all the rest of it. And then you've got the USA who've spent hundreds of millions of dollars in there as well. So the two biggest...
well, now, as it turns out, the Arab radio was putting out that El-Sisi was in fact a Jew. And that doesn't surprise me at all.
His mother was a Moroccan Jew.
His mother was a Moroccan Jew, Mossad agent, and so is his uncle, a Mossad agent.
Yeah. So they were likening El-Sisi to, what does he have in common with Eli Cohen? Go and do the research on that dude. He was hung in Damascus.
Yeah.
Because he was an Israeli spy inside of Syria and caught. So, all very interesting. How many minutes do we have to go? 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Well, do you want to
stop it here and continue?
Stop and continue later with something else?
Yes, all right.
We'll join it up and then we'll broadcast it tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
The Golightly Marshall Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
Here we go. Continuation. Apology for the typing.
Want to do a bit of typing, perhaps?
No. No, we have a very concerned message from Andrea in the Northern Hemisphere, I just got this message now. and she listened to our Sunday show. She says, "Hello, Ya and Ash. I watched the last Golightly Marshall Hour show. I don't get it. Are we all lost because we don't come to Australia? It's just a matter of time until Australia too gets radiation from the rain, etc. I'd think. And what is the difference being in the heavenly realm then? And can't the angels help us? I don't understand it."
Well, she's one of us. She's going to be all right.
Yes.
Obviously. The children that is going to be into the heavenly realm is going to be all right.
Now, describe how you said to me yesterday, it'd be like waking up.
Well, I'll go back to what I said, and I've experienced this twice, whereas you can step into the heavenly realm. It's just like going through a door and you disappear, and someone could be there with you and not realise it, like I was in the schoolyard as a child when I was taken back to be spoken to by Mary. And at that time, I had no idea that I had just come from a future time and been, well, how many years was it? 1910 years or something. I'd stepped into the future and then stepped back to the past. So when I could step back to the past, this actually happened. I had memorised or been reminded of what happened when we returned from Egypt as a small boy. And Mary wanted to tell me that we were Essene and that if the Jews found out, they would kill us. Now, when I returned back to the schoolyard, I remembered that I'd just come back from talking to Mary and being there with Joseph, right? And yet, when I was there, I had no idea that I'd come from the future. So the future, past, and present happen simultaneously. This is actually some of the Vedas that talk about that in the Hindu religion, which is more accurate than Christianity, I'll tell you that. So she has nothing to worry about per se because she's one of us. But everyone else, they've got a problem.
So, as anybody who would have witnessed what happened in the playground that day,
Yeah.
as you step through the veil back into time and to actually be there.
Yeah. I'm suspicious that the two older boys I was being anchored by were angels. I didn't know them, and that's unusual for me because I got a sort of memory. I can memorise people that I've seen on the street 30 years ago. So I did not know these two boys. They were just saying, one said Jesus was a Pharisee, and the other one said no, he wasn't, he was a Sadducee, and I was very, very angry. And I charged at them and I was going to punch their lights out. And they stepped aside and I went through a veil. So in that heightened state of anger, I was suddenly taken back into another realm that is coexisting at the same time. Right? It's past, future and present all happening at the same time. So that's what happened. So she's got nothing to worry about. Right? But I don't see why she doesn't get on. She's got the money. Get on a bloody plane and come to Australia with Eric. Have a holiday. Like, what's the point of staying in Europe? It's going to be destroyed, right? Ridiculous. Anyhow, that's beside the point. Predictive programming in 1970-odd, there was a movie made starring Clint Walker, and he's the man who was Cheyenne Boaty, if ever you want to look it up on your internet, look up Cheyenne. A very big, handsome man, played the part of cowboys all the time. One of the movies he made was Yuma, a very good movie. So I'll just play that for you and listen to what it's saying. It's quite extraordinary. It's what they did, because this is a Jewish movie, right?
of us, it came as a surprise. Not many understood. Too few cared enough to stop it. Then it no longer mattered how many understood or cared. It was too late. The beginning of the end came in the late 70s. The climate changes, unseasonable cold, brief snowstorms before crops could be harvested. The energy crisis, the shortages, the high costs of growing and transporting grain, the lack of government support for research programs, the disappearance of arable land beneath the monoliths of reinforced concrete and steel as the urban centers continued their unchecked sprawl into the countryside, the industrial pollution that poisoned the earth, the water, and the air, and the continuing growth of population out of all bounds and reason. More and more people, less and less food. By the end of the 70s, the fabric of society was breaking down in most parts of the world. In the autumn of the final year of the decade, the North American harvest was...
Stop typing!
Grain reserves were dipped into, and the continent survived until the next harvest. Then, a sudden cold, the early snows, and for a second year, the harvest was lost. But the conviction was there that the means to survive were available. And then the bubble burst.
Now, it mentioned climate change. It hadn't happened when that movie was made, so there was going to do it in the future.
Accurate as God in heaven. Mr. Minister, why did you wait so long before bringing us this? Dr. Abbott, I think this is the final. Oh, this is subject, this report, informing us that our entire population... I don't think I go as far as that. Henry, the report is specific. Famine, death by starvation. There's only one question. How long? Gentlemen, surely the only question now is the nature of the official reaction. Oh, let's cut the crap, George. It's going to be every man for himself. The people will have to be told the truth. Absolutely not. Let's do it. You can see, overreact. Last year's harvest was all but wiped out. And this year's harvest is frozen in the ground. I don't think Fred is overreacting. You can't blame the government for the climate changes. An awful big sunny skies one moment, snowy frost the next, December and August. Who could... I blame you for selling off our reserves. 2 bad harvest years, you don't have the foresight to hang on to grain reserves. The news were starving in April, we cut them so. And they won hell of a profit. We feed our starving. You're right. You accept it. But too late, Henry. We can't help you now. So, what about growing food indoors? The water garden. It's impossible. We can't feed the entire urban population with hydroponic installations. We could never get them built in time. Even if we did, we don't have the energy to run them. Really? Fish, seaweed. The cold weather ruined our ocean resources. That, our chemical poison. Well, what do we do? Reduce the population. Euthanasia. Kill off the old, the sick. Execute prisoners. People would be... They will if they read this. They can't release these facts. That's rival. All the time. Wait till things get better. Things are not going to get any better, George. The climate gets worse and worse. We don't know when we're going to be able to grow food properly again. Oh, there's no choice. We've got to lie. We say we have a temporary supply and distribution problem. And we cut present rations. From 60 down to 30%. People won't accept that. We do. Because more is coming. We can stop it. Introduce martial law, establish curfew, close the border. Down on communications. Stop all long distance. When the people realize we can't even make good on 30%. Gentlemen, please. Can I get a sense of this meeting? A show of hands. We cut rationing to 30%. Impose martial law and curfew. Close all borders. Stop all long-distance telephone calls.
That's called Deadly Harvest, 1977. They're talking about all the things they're doing now, and they're talking about stopping long-distance phone calls, stopping people typing on computers while you're trying to make a radio show. Sorry, darling, I got a bit carried away there. How many minutes we got left?
5.
5 minutes. Clint Walker, look it up. It's on YouTube. It's made in Canada, and it's an interesting movie, and it shows how the currency starts to fall away from anything that world order is talking about, gold and silver and money, down to those who hoard food, the people that are got control and the rich. And we've got all these thugs going out into the farmlands, and they've got to get through border crossings and all sorts of things. Exactly what they're planning for you in America and Europe. And Australia's going to be all right, so get on your horse and come down here. Right?
Absolutely.
So do you want to type something now? Oh, sorry, Ellen.
Well, I've had this discussion with you about my memory.
Well, the point is, while you're typing on the computer there, it's right next to the microphone.
I know.
Right.
I just totally...
And you get that strange look on your face. I shouldn't notice on the...
Glazed over. As
it
I'm
all
typing.
glazes over, and then you're focusing on the computer and you start typing. Talking back to Anna. She can wait 5 minutes, right? Now, did you read what Anna said? Because Anna
Yes,
is a bit...
That was before... Yes, that
Oh, you
I
did,
read that,
right.
yes.
You've typed back to her now?
No, I haven't.
Would you like to do it?
No.
Well, you're not going to.
No, I said no. Oh.
It's like the zippy ties.
Yes, Joel's been on about the zippy ties with me.
Yeah.
Oh, now speaking about Clint Walker, what is special about Clint Walker?
Well, he was a very...
Handsome?
He was handsome.
Buff?
Big man.
Yeah.
All these movie stars, they learn... We was watching a very early movie on John Wayne, and he had a voice like that. And as he got along in the movies, he started to talk low, and he'd break the sentences up and to the swagger, and even his walk changed. You know, so they're taught how to sing and talk and all that kind of thing, to make it more appealing or more interesting to see someone like John Wayne. You think, what is it about him that's so different? Right? Well, it's the way they've been taught to talk and to get a growl in their voice and then chop the sentence up and, well, Missy, you'd stop. Instead of saying it, well, Missy, you'd break it up. So it's very interesting how they did. Well, Clint Walker, very big man, handsome fella, and had an interesting job interview with one of the studio bosses, because they'd seen him on the set, and he was working as a hand there, that they thought they could make a movie or get him into the movies. And he was going in to see, might have been Cecil B. DeMille, I think it was, anyhow, for an interview. Anyhow, as he's coming into Hollywood, he sees this woman on the side of the road, so he stops, because she's got a flat tyre, and he's a very nice fellow, so he stops and helps her. And it takes some time, and of course he ends up being caught in traffic and all sorts of things. He ends up late for this interview with Cecil B. DeMille, who was going to make him a movie star. So when he gets in there, he walks into the office, and Cecil B. DeMille says to him, "You're late." He said, "Yeah, well, I had to stop this lady that was on the side of the road. She had a flat tyre." And he said, "Yes, that was my secretary." So Cecil B. DeMille knew when the secretary arrived that this man had helped her on the side of the road. And it turns out to be Clint Walker. How ironic is that?
And what else about Clint Walker?
Well, another thing was he was in a ski accident, and he fell over and the ski went through his heart, and he was taken to the hospital and declared dead. And this doctor was walking through the basement going to his car, and he seen Clint Walker laying there because he recognised him as being the movie star he was, and he stopped and looked at him, and he thought, I don't think this man's dead. So they take him up into surgery and he starts operating on him and he brings him around. He comes back. So Clint Walker was then talking about his near-death experience and what happened after he had died, because he had actually died and gone to heaven and was sent back again for a very specific reason. So that's the story of Clint Walker. Very, very handsome fellow. Big, handsome fellow.
And?
What?
You look like him. Just as Elvis had your voice,
Well,
then Clint Walker had your physique, your look.
Well, he had
as
my
a young
physique,
man.
yeah. He's a big fellow, yeah.
All
Very
right.
good singer too.
I think we can stop it right there.
Really? We're over time, are we?
I don't know. That should be it. End of show 30. Even if it's not, we'll make it.